Tonight, Port Augusta protests against the alleged killing of a young Aboriginal boy in the Northern Territory, and Port Lincoln community mourns one of its beloved sporting heroes.
With the latest from around the region, your nightly news with Louise Hedger begins now.
Good evening. The Port Augusta community has rallied alongside interstate counterparts against the death of a young Indigenous man who was fatally shot in the Northern Territory last weekend. The protest saw dozens of people turn out in solidarity during what's being labelled a heartbreaking time for the Indigenous community.
Activists displaying their devastation. Gladstone Square filled with red hand-printed T-shirts as a part of a rally against the recent death of a young Aboriginal man. Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! 19-year-old Yundamu Walker was fatally shot in the Northern Territory last weekend. A police officer has since been charged with his murder.
We are standing with the Northern Territory people on this sad occasion, and we as Aboriginal people, our hearts are broken. Well, this has been going on too long now.
The protest bringing together families of all ages and backgrounds.
And for our young kids to see that we can all work together as one, and it was good to see non-Indigenous people here today supporting our cause as well.
The case, a tragedy which has affected the whole of Australia. Rallies such as this one held in other communities and major city centres such as Sydney and Melbourne.
We just hope it doesn't happen again.
Hope that those nationwide protests will shed light on important issues and also work to keep the young man's memory alive.
He was also a young man, someone's son. You know, he could have been a father, but he got his life taken away from him for nothing.
We are searching for that equality and that justice.
The police officer has been released on bail. Laura Milovanovic, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Members of the Port Lincoln community are in mourning today following the tragic death of local athlete and 5-time Paralympic champion Kieran Madra. The father of 3 was riding his bike yesterday morning north of Gawler, where he was hit by a car and tragically died. The sporting legend was born and raised in Port Lincoln and only visited his hometown a few months ago. He was 47. The Broken Hill RSPCA says limited space at its South Road facility has led to the decision to no longer accept animal surrenders. The care provider focusing instead on providing much-needed boarding services for animals in need.
A shelter at capacity.
We've been limited in our space out the back at the moment. Just a couple of things we need to do to get the shelter up to scratch.
The Broken Hill RSPCA forced to cut back on the number of animal surrenders it accepts because boarding services are in high demand.
We do offer welfare boarding, emergency boarding, domestic violence housing and things like that.
The RSPCA will no longer take owner surrenders. The city's veterinary clinic on Rackhouse Street will now have to shoulder the load.
Probably 114 last month, and this month we've already got over 60 dogs, cats, that's strays, surrenders.
But this vet says there are a number of different rescues and services which transport unwanted animals interstate for rehoming. One thing pet owners can do is have their animals desexed to prevent unwanted breeding and future surrenders.
At the moment we have a litter of 11 here and a litter of 9. We accept them because otherwise they end up strays and 6 months later you'll have half-grown animals which can't get rehomed.
The RSPCA says it's currently looking into plans to improve its facilities and space. Patrick Royenke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Well, the Samaritan College is now home to new state-of-the-art buildings at its primary school campuses. The $5 million project aimed at bringing the sites into the 21st century officially unveiled this morning.
A blessing and a plaque unveiling, helping kick off Samaritan College's new era. Children, parents and staff at St Teresa's and Our Lady's gathering to see the new classrooms officially opened, replacing 40-year-old structures from a different era.
They were designed for classes from the old days. These ones now allow children to come in and out of rooms, yet still be accessible to the teachers and lots of space for them.
The buildings feature flexible learning spaces, art areas and kitchens, focusing on helping children learn through play. Technology also featuring heavily, preparing students for future careers.
Wi-Fi or devices. They're now just almost standard in classrooms, and they're there, but the students are now utilising the way it should be, where it's a bit natural.
$4.5 million of federal government funding put into the project. The local MP says students in the region deserve the same facilities as those in the city.
Having good facilities, and actually I think sending that message to the kids that they are important and we believe in them, I think is an important message.
I really like how we have a new kitchen area because I'm a person that really likes cooking, so I like how we can cook new stuff.
Like really open and that we get to learn in it straight away. It's really exciting for me and my classmates.
John Hunt, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
News that the Pikawea Well Women's House is closing is sending shockwaves throughout Port Augusta's Aboriginal health community. Staff have been told to vacate the house within 2 days after 6 years of providing Aboriginal women a safe space for health and well-being.
Protesting to keep this service within their community. Aboriginal women gathering here at Pikawea's Well Women's House in Port Augusta. The services provided here will be transferred to the main Pikawea building. Left in the dark as to why that is happening.
When this building was built, it was consulted. There was a report. There was a reason why they built the building in the first place. Now there's no reason given why they just want to take this building away.
6 years since its opening, they've now been given just 2 days' notice that they have to vacate service. Over that time, it's become very popular within the community.
When cultural needs expand, you're meant to expand with those needs, not cut the services, the very services that they need. That's not the answer here.
The women's services will now integrate with the men's. Concerns now being raised about the well-being of future women seeking support.
As a result, a lot of the community, because they don't feel comfortable enough, they will hold back. They probably won't use the services as much.
All of the women's supporters sad to see the house go after a successful community integration.
A very positive building for Indigenous women to come together, to integrate together, to socialise, to engage, to educate each other.
Laura Milovanovic, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, solar energy in the spotlight in Port Pirie and Colourtumby Festival recognised as one of the nation's best. Welcome back. Port Pirie Council says the Mid-North is leading the way with renewable energy, with 2 new projects approved for the region. Residents are also being educated on solar energy through community forums held this week.
Port Pirie shining light on its renewable future following the approval of 2 new projects on the outskirts of town.
Separate large-scale solar projects, one at out near Napperby, and the other one it's a joint solar and wind farm project.
Information sessions held this week in Port Pirie and Crystal Brook to allow locals to learn about smaller scale home and solar battery schemes.
The Port Pirie postcode is the most popular for home batteries under the scheme.
With electricity prices still skyrocketing, organisers say it's a no-brainer to get involved.
They're protecting themselves from ever-increasing energy costs, they're saving money.
We have the right elements. We've got sunshine, we've got access to the high-intensity power lines.
Some residents already reaping the benefits from their home panels and are encouraging others to follow suit.
More than halved my electricity bills. They've gone from over 2,000 to under 400 in less than 12 months.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Whyalla Council has named an acting CEO to replace departing Chris Cowley. Kristen Clark will take on the role for at least 6 months.
Sealed with a handshake. City Infrastructure Manager Kristen Clark is taking on his biggest challenge yet. Born and bred in Whyalla, hoping to use that knowledge in this new role.
It might mean that I can get the right outcomes for the community. Probably helps a little bit with the understanding of the background of some of the items and where the community wants to go.
And projects will be a big part of the job. He's aiming to have the new jetty and refurbished Bennett Oval finished on time.
It was a good time to be part of council. There's a lot of projects that are happening at the moment, and continuity towards getting them finished is probably a big item.
He's replacing Chris Cowley, who's joining Burnside Council in Adelaide as Chief Executive. The outgoing CEO says Whyalla will be in good hands.
Highly experienced, and he comes in with a great manner and outlook, and I know he's got the community's interests at heart.
And as for whether Kirsten has any ambitions to take on the role permanently...
Probably a bit early for that one, but good question for the elected members, but I hope to get my name into the conversation.
John Hunt, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The small coastal town of Tumby Bay has been recognised on the national stage for hosting the best street art event in the nation. The Colour Tumby Festival is in its 2nd year and already attracts artists from across the globe.
From sky high to 3D to paying tribute to the local Indigenous community, there's a different mural around every corner. Tumby Bay street art is a buzz and is getting the nation talking.
It's gone from a stopover to a destination because people are staying more than one night.
The Colour Tumby Festival is only in its 2nd year running, but has already made its colourful mark on the region. The event named the best street art festival in the nation.
It's a bit of an acknowledgement that we're doing the right thing and we're on the right lines. I think you know, they use words like punching above our weight and things like that, which I think is really nice to hear.
The town is the colourful jewel in Eyre Peninsula's tourism crown. Local businesses say visitor numbers have skyrocketed since the festival started.
It has increased our business by black and white 20%. It has been absolutely fantastic, and without it, I think we would have struggled through this winter.
Organisers say this year alone attracted more than 2,000 tourists over the 3-day period.
People are looking for accommodation while they come to view the Tumby Bay magnificent murals here, so it has helped me with direct bookings, walk-ins and even online, people looking in advance.
Work is already underway for next year's event, which is set to be held at the end of March. Nathan Rector, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Combining dance and mental health, Ignite Dance and Cheer will be hosting its 2nd Impact performance this Friday night, aiming to be just as successful as last year, which proved to be a real crowd winner. Not only a special performance for the dancers, but for the community as well. The group is hopeful to bring a full house.
A lot of people have come up to me afterwards and said, you know, by sharing your story, you made me realise that, you know, I'm not the only person that may feel that way.
The group is hopeful the event will attract a full house. Hundreds of residents from across the region are expected to flock to Burra this weekend for the annual Country Music Festival. Drew McAllister is headlining the event, with organisers preparing for this 3-day gala to be the biggest yet. Gates open tomorrow night at 6 o'clock and it runs all day Saturday and Sunday. There are camping options available. More information can be found online. Port Lincoln's community has gathered to celebrate one of the biggest festivals on India's calendar. There was plenty of dancing and colour as more than 50 locals welcomed in the Festival of Lights.
A twirl of colour to light up the room and offer a taste of Indian culture. Dozens of dancers and a traditional Indian feast welcoming the annual Diwali Festival.
And it's celebrated all across India, no matter which religion you belong to, which culture you belong. It's like Christmas for you and it's Diwali for us.
Organised by the local Indian Society, the event was used as an opportunity to bring the town together and celebrate the city's cultural diversity. It's the first time the festival has been open to the wider community.
We want to share some culture of ours and have fun with the people whom we are living.
While the women took centre stage and wowed the crowds out front, the men were backstage cooking up a storm.
Very tasty, delicious.
It's good for community to get together and enjoy different traditional things from different, countries and things. So yeah, it's lovely.
The event so popular, tickets sold out within the first week, raising more than $1,800 for the local youth support service.
So it is good to support families, those who need support, and young people. So we thought it's a good idea to contribute to them. Yeah.
It benefits everybody, not just the Indian community, but us, the locals, the businesses represented here today, council, everybody. I think everybody benefits.
Nathan Rector, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. The Outback receives a dose of the full Monty and we'll have the weather with Brit. Welcome back. The cast and crew of Channel 7's The All-New Monty have made a flying visit into Broken Hill. The team rehearsing and filming for next year's performance while raising awareness of prostate cancer.
Bearing it all for a good cause.
We're here for one very specific reason, and that's we're trying to spread a message and inform men about men's cancers and men's health.
The team behind Seven's all-new Monty rolled into town yesterday afternoon, led by Aussie celebrities Shane Jacobson and Todd McKenney.
Ask men and plead for men to just go and get their health checked for their sake and their family's sake.
The production coming to the Silver City to promote the importance of getting checks for prostate cancer, saying it's as simple as a blood test.
If there's anything showing up in the blood test, then the doctors will take it further from there. But people are just so scared of that finger. And we want to tell men it's not about the finger. We give the finger the finger.
The performers for next year's show remain secret, but locals got a sneak peek of who's going to be getting their kit off in 2020. Among them, an AFL legend, an international cricketer and a Gold Logie winner, all wanting to get the message out there.
If you do get the answer you don't want, they can give you the treatment you need and you'll live. That's the thing that does our head in, and that's how we've been saving lives with this show.
Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Now let's hear from the experts with this week's fishing tips.
Welcome to another week around the Gulf Fishing Tips from Port Pirie. It's a beautiful time of the year where we have the crossovers, the flies and all that sort of stuff. It's a perfect time to go fishing. Now the weather's starting to warm, so our yellowfin whiting might well be around the place. As we get a little bit further into the water, there's blue swimmer crabs floating around the place. Usually you'll find them over snapper drops at this time of the year. The snapper do like to eat them, and you're not allowed to catch any snapper, but you could pick yourself up a good feed of blue swimmers. I've been told that the kingfish are around in Port Augusta, and we have a few in the Port Pirie River system too. That's all we've got for this week.
G'day and welcome to Fishing Tips from Port Augusta, Jewel of the North. Well, the summer tides are here, so try for some silver whiting down along the shacks on the high tides in the morning. Sort of around the high tide and our each side of it as well is quite good for silver whiting. There's lots of crabs around at the moment, a little bit deeper at the moment. Good catches around the Letty Spit area. Kingfish are around, but they're a bit spasmodic around the train bridge at the top of the Gulf, Port Patterson, and also down around the old powerhouse site. There are a few little King George whiting around, but you really have to hunt for some size there as well. That's all we have from the Jewel of the North.
G'day and welcome to Fishing Tips in Port Lincoln. Well, news of tuna have finally arrived, which has got people excited. So at the moment they're still up the coast. There's been a few fish caught at scales, but there were a couple of fish reportedly caught on the south side of Williams Island over the weekend. In the bay here in Lincoln, we do have some salmon cruising along the north shore. Over at Coffin Bay, out around the farm beach grounds, the whiting have been fairly good, but you will need to shift around to find fish. There's some big garfish in the area, and there is a school of salmon around the 2 to 3 kilo mark sitting around Point Sir Isaacs. That's all for Fishing Tips this week. We'll see you again with more tips next week.
Now for a look at the weather, here's Britt.
Good evening. It's been a mostly fine day about the region. Port Augusta 28, Broken Hill 27, Port Pirie with a top of 26 degrees, Whyalla 23, Adelaide 21, Port Lincoln 18. Looking at today's skies, low cloud with cool onshore winds in the south, high pressure keeping the north mostly clear. Moving along to tomorrow on the Gulf waters, southwesterly winds tending southeasterly later in the day, seas around 1.5 metres. Similar conditions to today, looking fine and mostly sunny about the region. Broken Hill with a maximum of 30 degrees, Corn 28, Port Augusta and Woodner 27, Port Pirie 25, Whyalla, Clare and Cleveland 23, Kadina 22, Adelaide 21, Port Lincoln 18, a top of 17 degrees expected at Coffin Bay. Looking ahead to the weekend with partly cloudy conditions forecast at Port Lincoln, Cleve and Woodner, all with a hot and sunny day on Monday. Whyalla and Kadina both looking fine and partly cloudy Saturday and Sunday with a hot and sunny start to the new week. A bright and sunny forecast for Port Augusta over the coming days. Port Pirie looking fine on Saturday, sunny on Sunday and Monday with maximums heating up at the start of next week. A partly cloudy weekend forecast at Clare, looking sunny on Monday and sunny days ahead at Broken Hill. And Louise, that's it from me. Back to you.
Lovely, thank you Britt. That's your local news this Thursday night. Thank you for joining us today. We'll have updates later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.